My friends, in life, one of the greatest tests we face is not how we act when everything is going well, but how we react when someone hurts us. The truth is, hurt is a part of life. People may speak words that pierce like a knife. Situations may push us to the edge, and moments of pain may feel unbearable. But in those exact moments, the way we respond determines the quality of our peace, our relationships, and even our destiny. The wise never react instantly, because instant reactions are guided by anger, by ego, and by the weakness of the mind. But when we pause, when we take a breath, when we remember God's presence within us, our response transforms. And that transformation not only protects our peace, it elevates our character. So today, let me share with you the power of not reacting instantly when someone hurts you, and how it can turn your pain into wisdom and your struggles into strength. There is a deep misconception in the world we live in. When someone remains silent after being hurt, people often assume it is a sign of weakness. Society tends to glorify loudness, aggression, and instant replies as a symbol of strength. But true strength is never in the noise, it is always in the calm. Silence, when chosen with awareness, is not a lack of words, but a presence of wisdom. It is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not cowardice, it is courage. Because silence is not about being unable to speak. Silence is about having the power to speak, but choosing not to, because your inner peace is more valuable than the temporary satisfaction of winning an argument. Think of a cup of boiling hot tea. If you try to drink it instantly, it burns your tongue. But if you wait for it to cool down, it becomes enjoyable, soothing, and nourishing. The same applies to our words. When anger or hurt stirs inside us, our words become like boiling tea, dangerous and painful if spilled instantly. But silence is like waiting, giving time for the heat to reduce. When you choose silence in that heated moment, you are choosing peace over pain, wisdom over impulse. In daily life, we all encounter moments where people test our patience. Imagine a situation at work where a colleague wrongly blames you for a mistake you never made. Your ego screams inside you, say something, defend yourself, show them they are wrong. The urge to react instantly can be overwhelming. But if you reply in anger, the atmosphere becomes toxic and your respect may be lost. On the other hand, if you remain silent in that moment, listen calmly, and later clarify with dignity, your silence will speak louder than any angry reaction. People may even begin to admire you for your maturity, for your ability to stay steady while others are losing control. The beauty of silence is that it protects relationships. Think of a heated argument between close friends or family members. We have all been in situations where words fly like arrows, cutting deep into hearts. But later, when the anger cools down, the regret begins. How many times have we sat in our room after an argument thinking, "Why did I say that? I didn't mean those words." Silence saves us from this regret. It gives us the wisdom to measure our words, to let go of what doesn't need to be said. In silence, we discover that not every thought needs to become a word, and not every word needs to become a wound. Some of the strongest people in history and in daily life are not the ones who shouted the loudest, but the ones who mastered silence. Silence is the shield of the wise. Imagine a tree standing tall in the middle of a storm. The storm roars, the wind howls, but the tree remains steady and silent. Does the silence of the tree mean it is weak? No. Its silence shows its strength, its deep roots, its unshakable presence. Similarly, when people throw storms of negativity at you, your silence is the strength that keeps you rooted in peace. There is also an unseen power in silence. It allows us to hear the voice of God within us. In noise and chaos, we can only hear the outside world. But in silence, we hear our inner guidance. When someone hurts us and we choose silence, it becomes an opportunity to connect with that inner voice, to let God's wisdom flow instead of our anger. That inner guidance whispers, "Do not lower yourself to their level. Protect your peace. Choose patience. Respond with grace." And this guidance, born in silence, always leads us to better outcomes. Another daily life example: imagine you are driving and suddenly another driver cuts you off dangerously. Your instant reaction might be to honk aggressively, roll down the window, and shout. But does it solve anything? Does it bring peace? Or does it only add more heat to an already heated road? If instead you remain silent, take a breath, and continue driving, you save yourself from unnecessary stress and maybe even a dangerous fight. Silence here is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is saying, "My peace is more valuable than proving a point." Silence is also the best answer to provocation. Some people intentionally try to trigger you because they know your reaction will entertain them or give them control. But when you remain silent, you take away their power. You show them that your mind is not so cheap that it can be controlled by their words. Silence, in such cases, is your victory. It is the art of winning without fighting. In relationships too, silence becomes a healer. There are times when our loved ones say things in anger that they don't mean. If you react instantly, the fire only grows. But if you remain silent, allowing the other person's anger to settle, you create space for love to return. Your silence becomes a mirror, showing them their own mistake without you uttering a word. Remember, silence is not about suppressing emotions. It is about channeling them wisely. It is not about avoiding confrontation forever, but about choosing the right time, the right tone, and the right words. Silence gives us that time, that clarity, that balance. So the next time someone hurts you, remind yourself silence is not weakness. It is your power. It is the strength that protects your dignity, guards your peace, and keeps you aligned with wisdom. In a world that glorifies instant reactions, be the one who glorifies patient silence. Because silence is not the absence of strength. It is the presence of control. And in that control lies your true greatness. When someone hurts us, the natural reaction is to take it personally. We often feel attacked, insulted, or disrespected. Our mind immediately whispers, "Why did they treat me this way? What did I do wrong? How dare they speak to me like that?" But the truth is, most of the time, their words and actions are not really about us at all. They are a reflection of their own pain, their own struggles, and their own inner battles. Every person you meet in this world is carrying a burden you cannot see. Some wear smiles to hide their wounds. Some use anger as a shield to cover their insecurities. And some use harsh words because they do not know how to express their suffering in any other way. Imagine a person carrying a cup filled to the brim with bitter juice. If you shake that cup, what will spill out? Only bitterness. It doesn't matter who shakes it, you, me, or someone else, the cup will release what is already inside it. In the same way, when life shakes people, whatever they carry inside spills out. If someone is filled with love and peace, when they are disturbed, kindness will come out. But if someone is filled with anger, fear, or stress, then negativity will spill out. This is why, when people hurt us, we should pause and remind ourselves, this is not about me. This is about what they are carrying inside. Think about daily life situations. You walk into a shop, and the shopkeeper is rude, barely answering your questions. Instantly, You feel offended and want to argue. But what if you knew that this shopkeeper just lost a loved one? Or maybe he has been struggling with debt, or maybe he hasn't eaten since morning because he is too stressed. Suddenly, instead of anger, compassion arises. His rudeness was not personal, it was an overflow of his hidden battles. Another example, at work, your boss yells at you in front of everyone. Your first thought is, "He humiliated me. He has no respect for me." But if you pause and consider, maybe he is under immense pressure from his seniors, maybe he is afraid of losing his position, maybe he just had a fight at home. Then your perspective shifts. You realize his anger is not proof of your failure, it is proof of his own struggle. And once you see it that way, instead of reacting instantly, you choose calmness. That is how understanding hidden battles can save your peace. We all know people who constantly criticize others. They point out flaws, spread negativity, and make others feel small. But have you noticed something? Those who criticize the most are often the ones who are most dissatisfied with themselves. They are fighting battles of low self-worth, battles of insecurity, battles of inner emptiness. Their criticism of you is simply a reflection of the war inside them. By remembering this truth, we stop letting their words control our emotions. We begin to see them not as enemies, but as people in pain. Think of a child throwing a tantrum. If you shout back, the child cries louder. But if you understand that the child is hungry, tired, or upset, you treat them with patience. Similarly, adults too throw tantrums, just in more sophisticated ways. They may shout, criticize, or act harshly. But deep down, they too are hungry for peace, tired of life's struggles, or upset by their own circumstances. When you recognize this, you no longer add fuel to the fire with your reactions. Instead, you become the calm presence they desperately need. Let's reflect on our own lives for a moment. Haven't there been times when we have spoken harshly to someone we love, not because of them, but because of something else troubling us? Maybe we were tired, stressed, or carrying some hidden pain. Later, we regret it, thinking, "I didn't mean those words. I was just upset." If we can understand this truth about ourselves, then why can't we extend the same understanding to others? If we want people to forgive our hidden battles, we must also forgive theirs. This awareness creates compassion, and compassion is far more powerful than anger. Anger reacts, but compassion understands. Anger adds pain, but compassion heals. When you remember that everyone is fighting a battle, you develop patience with people. You no longer see them only through the lens of their actions. You see them through the lens of their humanity. Imagine meeting someone who shouts at you. Instead of reacting instantly, you pause and think, "This person must be carrying a storm inside. I will not add to it." That pause itself is wisdom. That pause itself is strength. That pause saves you from unnecessary arguments and protects your peace. More importantly, it transforms your heart from being reactive to being understanding. Life becomes lighter when you live with this awareness. You stop expecting perfection from people because you know everyone is carrying scars. You stop holding grudges because you know their actions came from pain. You stop reacting instantly because you know their words were not truly about you. And most beautifully, you start seeing the divine lesson in every encounter. God is teaching you patience, kindness, and compassion through the imperfections of others. So the next time someone hurts you, take a moment to step back. Remind yourself, they too are fighting a battle I cannot see. Instead of throwing back their pain, give them understanding. Instead of reacting instantly, give yourself peace. Because when you choose compassion over reaction, you not only protect your heart, you also become a source of healing for the world. And that is far more powerful than winning an argument. There is a silent strength hidden in patience, a strength that the world often fails to notice, but God never overlooks. Every time you hold back your anger, every time you resist the urge to react instantly, every time you choose calmness over chaos, you are not just controlling yourself, you are also showing trust in God's wisdom. And trust me, not a single moment of patience goes unseen. God sees your effort, your struggle, your restraint. The world may call it silence, but God calls it strength. When life tests you with hurtful words or actions from others, it is easy to explode in anger, to defend yourself loudly, or to prove your point aggressively. But when you pause, when you take a deep breath and think, I will wait, I will not let my emotions control me, I will let God guide me, that act of patience becomes a form of worship. It is as if you are saying, I choose peace, I choose wisdom, I choose God over my ego. And such choices never go unnoticed. Think about a simple example from daily life. You are in a long queue at the bank and someone suddenly cuts in front of you. Instantly your mind burns. This is unfair. How dare they do this? The urge to shout and create a scene is strong. But you remind yourself, let it go. My peace is worth more than a few minutes. God is watching. You stand silently, even though your ego wanted to scream. To others, it may look like you stayed quiet because you were weak. But in reality, your patience in that moment was a victory only God fully saw and appreciated. Another example, imagine you are at home and a family member speaks harshly to you without reason. You know you could reply with equal harshness and win the argument, but instead you stay calm, hold your tongue, and later address the matter with kindness. That choice of patience may seem small, but in the eyes of God it is greatness, because it shows you are not a slave to your anger, you are a master of it. And God always rewards those who master themselves. Patience is not passive. Patience is powerful. It is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right thing at the right time. Patience is the discipline of waiting for God's timing instead of forcing your own. When people hurt you and you remain calm, you are showing that you trust God to handle the situation better than your instant reaction ever could. And doesn't life always prove that? How many times have we reacted instantly, only to regret later? And how many times have we waited patiently, only to see that God worked things out far better than we imagined? There is also something deeply spiritual about patience. It is said that patience is the companion of wisdom. When you are patient, you are not empty, you are full of faith, full of trust, full of the strength that comes from knowing you are not alone. Every moment you hold yourself back, you are whispering in your heart, God, I trust you. I believe you see me. I believe you will take care of me. And this whisper becomes a prayer that reaches the heavens. In daily life, patience saves you not only from regret, but also from unnecessary damage. Imagine reacting instantly in anger to your child when they make a mistake. Your harsh words could wound their heart, but if you show patience, you give them guidance instead of scars. Imagine reacting instantly to your spouse in a heated moment. Your words could break the bond, but if you show patience, you give love a chance to heal. Every act of patience is not just a benefit for you, it is also a blessing for those around you. And here is the most beautiful part. Every time you choose patience, you are adding invisible treasures to your spiritual wealth. God sees the effort you put into controlling yourself. He sees the tears you hold back, the words you swallow, the storms you endure quietly. And even if the world never claps for you, God writes it down as a victory in your book of life. Your patience becomes your protection, your prayer, and your path to peace. Think about the farmer who plants a seed. He does not dig it up the next day to see results. He waits with patience, trusting that nature and God's timing will bring the harvest. In the same way, when you plant the seed of patience in your heart, it may feel difficult at first. But with time, that seed grows into wisdom, peace, and blessings beyond what you expected. God never lets the patient ones go empty-handed. So, the next time someone hurts you and the urge to react instantly rises, remind yourself, this is a test. My reaction is my answer, and God is watching how I respond. Do not see patience as suffering. See patience as strength. See patience as worship. See patience as the bridge between your pain and your blessings. Because patience is not just about waiting. It is about trusting. It is about believing that every moment of silence you choose is being counted, seen, and rewarded by the one who knows your heart best. In the eyes of people, silence may look like weakness. But in the eyes of God, patience is power and power is greatness. One of the heaviest weights we carry in life is the weight of regret. And most of that regret does not come from things we never said. It comes from the things we said too quickly. Words spoken in the heat of the moment, without thought, often cut deeper than a sword. They leave behind wounds that time struggles to heal. That is why instant reaction is so dangerous. It feels powerful in the moment, but it creates a burden that lingers for days, months, and sometimes even years. Think about it. How many times in your life have you raised your voice at someone, spoken harsh words, or reacted out of anger, only to sit later in silence and whisper to yourself, I wish I had not said that. I did not mean it. This is the painful truth about instant reaction. It satisfies the ego for a second, but punishes the heart for a lifetime. The tongue has no bones, yet it is strong enough to break a heart. And once words leave your lips, you cannot pull them back. Imagine a daily life scenario. A child accidentally spills water on the floor. The parent, already tired and frustrated from a long day, instantly shouts at the child, "You are always careless. You never listen." The child may remain silent, but those words plant seeds of hurt inside. Later, the parent realizes the mistake, hugs the child, and apologizes. But the wound is already made. The regret is heavy because the words could not be taken back. Or think about friendships. A small misunderstanding arises, and instead of listening calmly, you instantly react with harshness. You never care about me. You are selfish. In anger, you say things that your heart never truly believed. The friendship suffers. Later, when the anger cools, you regret those words, wishing you had paused before reacting. This is how instant reactions destroy bonds that took years to build. In professional life too, regret follows instant reactions. Imagine you are in a meeting and someone criticizes your idea. Your ego burns and you react instantly. At least I have ideas! What have you contributed? In that moment, you feel victorious. But later, you realize you lost respect, you lost credibility, and you may have damaged your career. The regret is not about the criticism. It is about your reaction to it. This is why wisdom teaches us pause before you respond. A pause may last only a few seconds, but it can save you from years of regret. The pause is the bridge between impulse and wisdom. It gives your heart time to cool, your mind time to think, and your words time to soften. That pause protects your dignity and your peace. Let's take another simple example. Imagine two drivers on the road. One cuts in front of the other. The second driver, filled with rage, reacts instantly by chasing, honking, and shouting. The situation escalates and sometimes even turns violent. But what happens later? The driver goes home, sits alone, and regrets it all. He thinks, why did I waste my peace on a stranger? Why did I risk my safety for a moment of anger? That regret is the price of instant reaction. On the other hand, if the driver had simply paused, breathed deeply, and let the incident go, there would be no regret, only peace. This is the difference patience makes. It prevents regret before it begins. The problem with instant reaction is that it comes from a place of emotion, not wisdom. Emotions are like storms, loud, powerful, and blinding. But storms never last. Wisdom, however, is like the sky, vast, calm, and eternal. If we react while the storm is raging, we speak from temporary emotions, not permanent truth. That is why we regret later. Because once the storm passes, we see things more clearly and realize we could have chosen better words, better actions. Sometimes regret lasts a lifetime. Families break apart because of words said in anger. Relationships end because of instant reactions. Opportunities are lost because of hasty decisions. And long after the moment has passed, people still whisper to themselves, if only I had paused, if only I had stayed silent for a while. We cannot erase the past, but we can learn from it. The lesson is simple yet powerful. Never allow your tongue to outrun your mind. Pause before you speak. Think before you act. Choose peace over impulse. Because what feels like strength in the moment of reaction often turns into weakness when regret arrives. There is also a deeper spiritual truth here. When you control your reaction, you show God that you value wisdom over ego. And God rewards such choices by protecting you from regret. Every pause becomes a blessing. Every moment of silence becomes a shield. You may not realize it in the moment, but later you will see how many regrets you avoided simply because you chose patience over reaction. So the next time someone hurts you or provokes you, remember this: instant reaction may win the argument, but it will lose your peace. And peace is far more precious than proving a point. A wise person once said, speak when you are angry, and you will make the best speech you will ever regret. Let us not fill our lives with such speeches. Let us fill them with silence, patience, and thoughtful words. Because regret is heavy, but wisdom is light. Regret imprisons the heart, but patience frees it. Regret makes you look back, but silence allows you to move forward. And the choice between regret and peace is always in your hands. In that single moment when you decide whether to react instantly or to pause wisely. Life has a way of magnifying pain in the heat of the moment. When someone hurts us, the situation feels enormous, unbearable, almost like a mountain standing in front of us. Our emotions take control, and the urge to react instantly feels natural. But when we pause, just for a moment, we allow time to shrink the mountain into a pebble. The pause does not erase the problem, but it changes how we see it. That is the power of perspective. A pause is not weakness. A pause is a tool, a silent teacher, a space where wisdom replaces impulse. When you take a pause before reacting, you step outside the storm of emotions and see things more clearly. What once felt like a permanent wound often reveals itself as a temporary scratch. What once felt like an attack on your worth shows itself as a reflection of another person's pain. The pause transforms your vision. Think of a simple daily life example. You receive a rude message on your phone. Instantly, your heart beats faster, your hands itch to type an angry reply. But you decide to pause. You put the phone down, take a walk, or simply breathe for a few minutes. Later, when you return to the message, you realize it wasn't as insulting as you first thought. Maybe the person was stressed. Maybe they worded it poorly. Maybe it wasn't even meant to hurt you. That pause saved you from a reaction you would have regretted. It gave you perspective. Another example, imagine you are at work and your colleague dismisses your idea in front of everyone. Your ego screams, "How dare they humiliate me? I must respond now." But if you pause, if you wait for the meeting to end and then reflect, you may realize that your colleague's rejection was not about disrespect. It may have been about pressure, or perhaps they misunderstood your idea. That pause not only gives you perspective, but it also gives you a chance to respond with dignity instead of anger. The pause is like looking at a picture from different distances. Up close, the colors seem messy, confusing, and even ugly. But when you step back, the same picture reveals its beauty, its balance, its purpose. In life, the pause is that step back. It helps you see the whole picture, not just the part that hurts. Let's reflect on relationships. Often, conflicts with loved ones begin small. A careless word, a small misunderstanding, a moment of forgetfulness. But because we react instantly, the small spark turns into a fire. If only we paused, if only we gave ourselves a moment to see the bigger picture, we would realize that the relationship is more important than the argument. That one mistake does not define a person. That love is larger than anger. The pause allows you to weigh what truly matters, and most of the time, you realize peace is worth far more than proving you are right. Children teach us this lesson in beautiful ways. A child may cry loudly for a broken toy, and in that moment, it feels to them like the end of the world. But after a while, when they pause, when they are comforted, they see that life is still full of other joys, other toys, other moments to smile about. Adults are no different. We too cry loudly when someone hurts us. But if we pause, we realize that life is bigger than that single hurtful moment. We gain perspective that suffering is temporary, but peace is permanent if we choose it. The pause also protects us from making false judgments. Many times, what we think in the first moment is not the truth. For example, you see a friend walk past you without saying hello. Instantly, you feel hurt. They ignored me. They don't value me anymore. You react by avoiding them, or worse, confronting them angrily. But what if you paused? What if you gave yourself time to think? Maybe they didn't see me. Maybe they were lost in thought. Maybe they were dealing with their own pain. Later, you find out that your friend was going through a tough time and simply didn't notice you. Your pause saved the friendship by giving you perspective. Spiritually too, the pause is powerful. When you pause, you are silently saying to God, "I will not let my emotions rule me. I will wait for clarity. I will allow wisdom to guide me." And in that waiting, God often reveals the truth of the situation. What once looked like a curse may turn out to be a blessing in disguise. What once looked like an enemy's attack may actually be life's way of teaching you strength. The pause allows you to see God's plan where once you only saw pain. The beauty of the pause is that it does not just change how you see others, it also changes how you see yourself. In the pause, you discover your own strength. You realize you are not a prisoner of anger, not a victim of emotions. You are capable of patience,